Ever been so frustrated you blame someone else for your mistakes? Now imagine suing yourself over it. Yes, Robert Lee Brock did just that. He sued himself for a whopping $5 million. Sounds crazy, right? Stick with us to unravel this mind-boggling story. You'll discover not only the bizarre twists and turns, but also some insights into personal accountability that may surprise you. In the confines of Indian Creek Correctional Center, a case emerged that twisted the very fabric of legal proceedings. It was 1995 when inmate Robert Lee Brock, convicted of breaking and entering and grand larceny, took an unprecedented legal stride by filing a lawsuit against a most unusual defendant, himself. Brock, serving a 23-year sentence, demanded $5 million in compensation. But what set this case apart was his claim that he had violated his own rights. In a self-directed legal maneuver, Brock alleged that he had willingly indulged in alcohol, leading to the commission of the crimes that resulted in his incarceration. According to Brock, by engaging in these acts, he had breached his religious beliefs and civil rights, a transgression only rectifiable through a significant monetary settlement. The audacity of the claim left a trail of intrigue in its wake as Brock navigated the intricacies of a legal system he was now using to sue the person he saw every day in the mirror. But the peculiarity of the lawsuit didn't end there. Brock was penniless, unable to furnish the funds he was suing for. So he turned to the state, the governmental entity responsible for his imprisonment, to foot the bill of his own conviction. His argument hinged on the assertion that the state had taken custody of him, thereby assuming responsibility for his actions, including the violation of his civil rights by his own hand. The layers of Brock's claim peeled back to reveal more than just an individual seeking restitution. It questioned the thresholds of legal responsibility and the intersection where legal entitlements meet the consequences of personal actions. What appeared as a bizarre twist in jurisprudence rapidly unfolded into a tale that would make its way through the annals of legal oddities, setting a stage where the plaintiff and defendant shared not just a name, but an identity. The linchpin of his case hinged on the combination of constitutional and divine justice. He didn't just see his crimes as transgressions against society, they were sins against his own soul, with the resulting punishment to be both penitential and monetary. Buoyed by his conviction that the state should compensate him for these self-inflicted damages, Brock looked to the legal system for recourse. It was this intricate blend of legal rationale and moral accounting that propelled his case into the dockets, challenging the courts to interpret a scenario that defied convention. The real question lingered. Could Robert Lee Brock's allegation of self-perpetrated civil rights violations stand up in a court of law, or was it merely an inventive strategy to exploit the very system he was held within? The answer lay ahead, as the judiciary would soon weigh in on a case as unique as the claimant himself. The response from legal bodies to Brock's demand was grounded in the practicalities and precedents of the law. After all, if inmates could sue themselves and shift the financial burden onto the state, it would herald a new, unpredictable chapter in legal accountability. This wasn't just about Brock anymore. It was about upholding a system that could potentially be inundated with similar claims, should this one succeed. His legal odyssey, marked by this extraordinary appeal for state intervention, awaited a verdict. With bated breath, the nation watched on, curious to see how the judiciary would navigate the choppy waters of Brock's self-made legal storm. The court's decision would soon set a precedent for personal accountability within the penal system, marking either a groundbreaking shift or a sober reinforcement of conventional jurisprudence. As the wheels of justice turned, the fate of Brock's lawsuit reached its inevitable conclusion in the chambers of the United States District Court in Virginia. With considerable scrutiny, the court presided over a claim that had no clear precedent, a man seeking millions from himself with the expectation that the government would pay. In a sober pronouncement, the judge delivered a decisive blow to Brock's case: dismissal. The court recognized the ingenuity in Brock's argument, but noted that it defied the legal principles that have long buttressed the justice system. The judge remarked on the impossibility of the state being financially accountable for Brock's compensation to himself, given that it would essentially represent a transfer of funds from the state to an individual without a justifiable legal foundation. In the judge's eyes, the claim lacked substantive legal merit. It was an unsustainable legal argument attempting to use the court as an intermediary for an internal conflict of a single individual. The dismissal served not only as a rejection of Brock's personal entreaty, but also as a safeguard for maintaining a coherent and rational legal system. Though undeniably creative, Brock's lawsuit appeared on the court docket more as a legal curiosity rather than a justiciable claim. This unconventional chapter in the annals of American jurisprudence was thus brought to a close, affirming the boundaries of legal responsibility and reinforcing the traditional separation of an individual's moral compass from the purview of the state's coffers. The dismissal sent an unequivocal message. One cannot simply sue oneself into a fortune, at least not within the walls of a United States courtroom. While Robert Lee Brock's self-lawsuit may have been promptly dismissed in the courthouse, it had already taken on a life of its own beyond the legal system. Capturing the imagination of the public and the press, Brock's story ricocheted across the nation, garnering headlines for its sheer absurdity and innovativeness. Newspapers, television shows, and eventually, the burgeoning online media spotlighted the Brock saga as emblematic of the lengths to which inmates might go to test the limits of the legal system. Pundits dissected every angle, from the implications of inmate rights to the philosophical quandaries of self-representation and accountability. In legal circles, the case spurred discussions on the procedures for filing lawsuits and the viability of the court's filtering mechanisms. It was a cautionary tale of frivolity and litigation, prompting debates on how to prevent the legal system from being bogged down by unfounded claims, yet ensuring genuine grievances found their rightful day in court. More than that, Brock's story highlighted real societal struggles, particularly those within the prison system. It underscored issues of personal responsibility, the pursuit of redemption, and the complexities faced by individuals in a punitive environment. His case, though an outlier, posed serious questions about inmates' access to legal recourse and the psychological underpinnings driving such distinctive actions. Ultimately, Brock's bid for self-suicide compensation evolved into a spectacle that few could ignore, and it was held up as an example of the American legal system's remarkable encounters with unorthodox challenges. As serious as those concerns were, Brock's story also invited a certain incredulity, a shake of the head, and even a laugh, a lesson in both the high stakes and the high jinks of justice. This case causes us to ponder the reach of the law, and its role as an arbiter not only of society's actions, but also of an individual's internal moral conflicts. It starkly presents the question, at what point does the legal system's responsibility begin and where should it end? Furthermore, Brock's situation brings to the fore the often overlooked hardships faced by inmates. His creative legal gambit speaks volumes about the desperation and the lengths to which people might go to seek restitution, even in the most unconventional ways. As we digest the story of Brock and his quixotic legal journey, we are reminded that behind every case are the human elements of hope, regret, and the quest for justice. His narrative pushes the legal system to consider its flexibility, its limitations, and the myriad reasons individuals like Brock might engage it in such an extraordinary manner. In closing, while Brock's $5 million self-lawsuit may be a closed chapter, it undeniably enriches the ongoing dialogue between the law and those it governs. It acts as a beacon, illuminating the sometimes contentious, sometimes comical, but always complex relationship between society, its laws, and the people they are designed to serve and protect. Thank you for joining us on this mind-boggling journey. Robert Lee Brock's self-lawsuit opened our eyes to the intricacies of personal accountability and the legal system's boundaries. We hope you found this story as fascinating as we did. Make sure to like and subscribe for more unbelievable tales that will leave you questioning reality. Stay tuned for our next video.